Hey, it's me once again, the existential designer. I wanted to come on here and just state the fact that I do not take responsibility for other people's actions. That's one of the main notions of ignorant independence with allowed freedom and human independence. Who were, asked to obey the law, is the fact that I don't have to personally be a private citizen of the United States of America. I do not have to take responsibility for other people's actions. Yes, the editors, besides me, there's the elaborators and decorators and editors, who are mainly doing the historical accounts of human beings on the planet Earth here. And there is the notion of the ignorant independence, allowed freedom, human independence within that. And even with them, I don't take responsibility for other people's actions. So when it comes to the point of things like weather, same thing. It's not like you all could get me for disturbing the peace, and have this set up with the Doppler system. Or like you're gonna catch me for disturbing the peace with bad weather. I can tell you a little bit about weather though. A lot of the weather comes from the notion of the word source. Of course, everything in the objective reality, and within the dwellings are of my designs. I can show you, for example, where the weather of lightning comes from is mainly about the different angles and stipulations. But with the notion of electrical freedom, and then this altitude straight with the notion of the word source design is lightning. So, that's just, and then with the, in the sky, the broader rows versus the column, stipulated like lightning, and then, of course, a lot of wind, with the cosmic astral plane, OJ, blue, gold there, and with the notion of Fandos and the flatlands, hills, mountains, and their opposites. And of course, with the overlapping tides and water and overlapping realm notion, with the independent conversion of the realm changers and such, and borders, that whole notion. But you see the ocean waves. But one of the and then of course the violets are the notion of the galaxy mazes with G, M, and Z being regular rainbow violet, neon violet, and pastel violet in the galaxy mazes. Two characters that are a major portion of the weather, though, is going to have to do with, firstly, the character HF Galaxy Swirl. Now that's white and regular rainbow purple, which ends up being a violet type color, like the Galaxy Mazes. But then also the notion of, oh gosh, I have to get my other book. I found a character that I haven't written more on in my new journal. That character is Solar Wave. And Solar Wave is GI. I'm going to do a whole lot more on that, but I've come up with, the thoughts go in my head, and I forget to write them down after I've thought about them for a very long time. But GI is regular rainbow, violet, and gray. And so with the violet and the I, and then the gray with the G, it is where, and it is the notion of a solar wave with that design. And then, of course, back to the point of the word source, is how you get tornadoes. There's a vortex of the 20 rounds. And hurricanes, that's right next to that violet is HY. So, that's a lot of the notions of some of the weather phenomena. Of course, rain itself comes from the notion of AB being red-orange, and then AB red-orange, the O with the A on top is a raindrop, and the ORs of the ocean waves. That's a Centaurian something and nothing, but with the word source, like fire needs oxygen, then the OA there. And then the notion of snow, and then the cold crack rain. You get snow. But, I did make a character that has to do with the control of weather itself. And it has the same first letters as Solar Wave, that GI. And that character is QA, the Weather Summoner. Now, the Weather Summoner is going to have all the biomimicry concepts behind weather. And QA is the major notion of, let's say, the world is on the axis, is the Q notion. And then A would be like an A sideways, almost at the whole Earth, or a portion of it, seeing, say, also there's the, in order to control weather. Now, AH, of course, is radiant. And that is the notion of like satellites with the solar panels, and then that same A. The satellites are sort of same concept though. kind of like a vantage point type deal of seeing that they can control with obtuse and acute angles to really view in on that. But the satellite notions go on the notion of area location and latitude longitude. Just that top row is how easy it's always just area location, latitude, longitude, and then the altitude versus the depth. Okay, but that QA is also the notion behind where they then took the O and then Q'd it like that, and then A'd it. So that's where you get radio telescope. Now that's going to be more from the notion of the word source with the radio telescope, the 20 around notion and such. But that does come from QA. And the weather summons are actually. But, they use it in different forms of technology and everything else. But so they are actually able to control weather. It could be classified though, so but that's classified for me as well. I really don't know if it's more than the existentials doing weather. If human beings are actually in control of the weather. I have seen different forms of technology of biomimicry where people are able to control the weather on small scale forms and have used science to do so. I'm sure there's a lot of laws and logistics on that because, nobody wants anyone to really harm the environment at anyone. But it can be done. But again, just because people have used ideas and concepts that I have come up with, I do not take any responsibility for other people's actions. So I would not be responsible for disturbing of peace because of weather. Even though that's a concept of my design.